Now, welcome back to the Fix the Money podcast. I'm now connected to Sofia, Bulgaria. Ivan Makedonski. Hi, Ivan.
Hello, Nico. Nice to be on your show.
How is Sofia doing?
It's a bit rainy right now, but finally the snows are over and coming the spring. So
We
yeah.
we 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 already met in real life about half a year ago in October. I was in Bulgaria for a conference. We were joined by among others Natalie Burnell and Jeff Booth and Greg Foss and Knut von Holm. It was great. Um,
Yeah.
and and I think when I met you, you didn't yet work in the Bitcoin space. You have since joined the Breeze team. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And kind of the conference gave me that boost that I needed. But when we met, I told you that I don't have a job, but I already quit my fiat job because I felt that this is a calling for me, and I'm going to devote the rest of my life to Bitcoin in whatever shape or form. I didn't know then yet. But since then, Jeff Booth was gracious enough to introduce me to the Breeze team, and I went through a filtering process with Troy, and he decided that I'm the person that could help, and that's how it went.
It's the magic of Chef Booth. How are you? I mean, what do you do? Do you do like programming, computer stuff, or
No, I am the first non but because everything was done by Roy, that is not developing, marketing, sales, social media, or analytics, or QA testing, or whatever it is that's non-programming was on his shoulders, and they needed help on that front. So it was a good fit. So anything that is not development, uh, he said my official title is chief of staff, but in reality, I'm chief of stuff. So any stuff that is not development, I'm helping on that one.
what did you do before? I mean, what did you do in your fiat job, in your
Uh,
other life?
Yeah. Before I was reborn, I was doing a lot of stuff. I was always seeking entrepreneurship, and I did had a partnership in 2013 with some coders. We managed to build a web strategy game then. But because of my personal circumstances, I had to close that startup down and focus on helping my sister and things like that. But I was always looking for entrepreneurship, and in many other jobs, I was managerial positions, whether it's in sales, in all sorts of industries. But I kind of developed the versatility that any entrepreneur needs because I was preparing to have my own business. But at this point, it's just about Bitcoin. And I want to serve the Bitcoin community and to expand it. So that's where we are. So
How did you like? What's your Bitcoin origin story? Where are you?
uh,
First off, where are you from? Are you from Sofia?
yeah, I am born in another city, Yambo, but since first grade of school, I am in Sofia, and now that's almost 30 years
So,
I live here.
So for our international audience, this is Sofia, Bulgaria. We're talking about Bulgaria, very nice, rather small country in Eastern Europe, right?
Yeah,
About 6 million inhabitants. Sofia is the capital, and where everything basically happens, and where we also had the conference in October. And then Plamen, who was the organizer of the conference, he took us on a tour through Bulgaria, which was rather amazing. We were very lucky with the weather as well, and the food of
yeah.
course. Lots of meat, lots of meat. Bitcoin is
Yeah. In Bulgaria, we like grills. So yeah, lots of meat in Bulgaria.
um, So I was asking you for your Bitcoin origin story, so to say.
Yeah. My Bitcoin origin happened 2013-ish. I've heard about it, but like almost any Bitcoiner out there, I completely ignored it. I heard some people made money because it shoot up in value and whatever, and completely ignored. And because in 2014, as I mentioned, the personal stuff that happened was. My father managed to kidnap and kill my mother because of money, and I completely ignored my space. Like I had to take care of my younger sister, and I wasn't thinking about any of this, and that's why I had to shut that business down.
I'm
But
sorry.
yeah,
I have to introduce myself here. So this is not unexpected. I'm very sorry.
okay.
I mean, this is a long time ago, but I'm sorry this happened. This is the so far the most horrible thing I've heard on my podcast. So I hope you're fine. I hope your sister's fine.
Yeah, we are great. And I dig deeper into with Daniel Prince. I managed to talk about this in deeper details on his pod. But we
I
are
will put
all
it in the
good.
show notes. I will put it in the show notes. You're all good, yeah?
Yeah, we're all good. But in the beginning, it was very dark because you're just trying to figure out how to manage the situation, and lots of forces are against you, and they're just trying to steal everything that my mother's legacy and her actual assets were accumulated over the years. But now that I found Bitcoin, I have no doubt in my mind and the skills that we developed, me and my sister, that we are going to be perfectly fine. And right now, we have so many options that weren't available ever to any person. And that's why I'm encouraging every single person to go and learn about Bitcoin, because that's the only certain one of the only certain things in life. And what I told in the other podcast is the most important thing in life, in my view, is to take care of your kids, because they're the legacy that you leave after you're gone. But the second thing after that is to figure out a way to pass along the Bitcoin that you accumulated, because that's the only certain thing that you know it's going to get to them, because the fiat will is not your will. It's what the state allows it to be. But the Bitcoin will could be 100% of your will, and you can pass it along to them. And you know that, like my situation, other people will not take advantage, can't take advantage of the situation with Bitcoin.
How did you get so I hear this like was there a thing with your inheritance or how did you get from this personal tragedy to Bitcoin? To Bitcoin itself
Uh,
specifically because you heard about it in 2013 but that's not when you adopted it, right?
yeah. And for 3.5, 4 years, something like that, we were kind of struggling to survive. Like even if it was just mental, it just felt like this, and it was horrible because you see lots of things being taken away one by the other, and in the middle of a very emotional period for us. And on top of that, I managed to work in three forex companies in that period, that they were using crypto to scam people from their money. And because of that, I went through three in a span of 2 months, because I was looking for an ethical company, but there wasn't an ethical company. And because of that, I became convinced that okay, crypto is a scam, because I was just selling it, and once I sell a package deal for somebody, and then internally I saw what the company does, and I said okay, I quit. I don't want to work for an ethical company. And because of that experience in those months, I stayed away from it. But when I met my soulmate, she bought one Ethereum and she was bugging me. Let's make money with this. I bought it for £50 and now it's $3,000. I said, go away. This is a scam. I don't want to deal with this. And yeah, but eventually I started learning about it with the intentional goal to prove that every crypto is a scam. And in that process, to prove that everything is a scam, I found out, okay, Bitcoin is different. And then I was completely convinced in a span of 3 days. I listened to a lot of things and I said, okay, I'm going all in on Bitcoin and just going deeper and deeper to prove that my conviction is true. And this is where we are. That process started in December 2020. So I found Bitcoin, really internalized it a year and a half ago.
It's interesting. I do have a very similar story. At least, I mean, not from a personal perspective, but from the time frame. So I would also start in 2013, and it would take me three touch points and until 2020 to really get it. And this differentiating between Bitcoin and the other crypto was also extremely important for that. So did you, in the meantime, did your girlfriend or wife, did she sell her Ethereum for Bitcoin or?
Course. Like no shitcoins here. But yeah, it took some time because even when you internalize what Bitcoin is, in the beginning it's very hard to express what you understand. But after a few months, then I expressed, okay, here are the exact differences, and it's my words. It's not, oh, go listen to this. So she had to do proof of work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like at this point, every month we are actually saving. Like we are not investing, we are actually saving. But it has the investment aspect because the bull market for the next 10 years will be much, much bigger than the actual savings that it's going to be around that hump.
Oh,
Uh,
it's good. You
yeah.
you already you already know how the bull market's gonna be for the next 10 years. Tell us a bit. So what
Uh,
can we expect?
it, well, the bull market for the next 10 years, it's going to be according as planned, just like the last 14 years for the Bitcoin space. And what's the exact percentages and how it is, but overall, like it's going to go up forever. Uh, but just because we're so early, and when everybody else wakes up or they're forced to adopt Bitcoin, that's why the people that are moving right now have the bigger advantage.
When you talk to your friends and family in Bulgaria, so what do you see right now? Can you describe to us this, because you said you're not investing, you're saving. I'm totally there with you, and every Bitcoiner who has been in Bitcoin for some time will be there with you. But the first connection that you make with Bitcoin will always, almost always, still be investing. That's how
Yeah.
people. That's how it attracts people. When you say the bull market is going to be big, that's how it's going to attract people. So, what do you see right now, like in terms of, are there people coming to Bitcoin right now, or is it dead, or is everybody still shitcoining? What's going on in Bulgaria?
In Bulgaria, I would say it's still a lot of shitcoining. The signal is uh, very light about the Bitcoin, but the good thing is it's expanding. And when we talk about number go up, it's investing. I would say this is the marketing strategy for the people that did not understand it yet, and for the people that think in fiat terms, that things need to go up. But I'm here for the number go down technology that everything else goes down in value, and I can afford everything that I ever want in my life to manifest physically or as an experience or whatever it is. I'm for the number go down on technology. And when I orange people, I just trying to find where they are currently, and I don't care how I onboard them. Some people I need to trigger and get them upset. Some people I need to be nice and explain longer. But my goal really is to get them on this side because the other side is burning. And if the burning happens really fast, like in Sri Lanka or Lebanon or Nigeria or whatever it is, it's a lot of wreckage for the average people. And I hope it's gradually, but we all know that at some point it will be very sudden. And all my relatives are in Bitcoin, which is, even though they don't understand it as me, the important thing is that they have some. And then I build on top of that and tell them this and that for every single opportunity. And my lady says, "Okay, you need to stop talking about Bitcoin." And I said, "No, no fucking way." I don't hear it.
It's very interesting. I run a Bitcoin podcast, a German channel. I run an English channel. I write an English newsletter. I do a YouTube channel. I talk about Bitcoin all the day, but not all my relatives are in Bitcoin, and I'm not like pressuring or trying to convince anyone anymore. But that's probably because I did the same thing with gold, and it really didn't work very well. So that's why I don't do it.
Yeah, for me, it's really when I went through my experience, really, and you realize in a very visceral, deep level how unprotected things are. And when you figure out what the central banks are doing and what's the role of the politicians, and that, it, like, imagine the thing that I experienced from thieves and all sorts of ways, but happening to a whole country. That's exactly what the politicians and the central banks are doing. And I'm amazed how disconnected from reality they are.
Mm.
Like even Paul Kruger saying something like, "Oh, if you exclude this and exclude that and exclude whatever, then the numbers work out." It's like saying, "Okay, this phone right now is levitating." Like, no, that's not true. I'm holding it. Oh, don't look that you're holding it. It's levitating, just to prove their point. And that's like completely disconnected from reality. Like saying, okay, the building that is built, let's put 2% on top of that building so we have more apartments for renting. Even if you don't know when the building is going to collapse, you know that if you do that every year, there will be a point that it will collapse. Yeah, but if you think, oh, that's economically sensible or whatever, uh, like I am amazed how really disconnected they are from reality, and I think that is the reason why engineers get Bitcoin. And I'm happy that engineers get Bitcoin first because the engineers will build it to last and at any single point. It will not be like the economists are crypto,
Mhm.
the engineers are in Bitcoin. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I do know a little bit about Bulgarian history, so I do know that after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the satellite regime in Bulgaria, you did have a bout of hyperinflation that is not that long ago. Am I right?
Yeah, we did have that. I didn't dig too much into it because I was a kid. I was like 10-ish years old when that thing happened. But when I orange people, my relatives that are the generation before me, I tell them, do you think that hyperinflation like we experienced then is going to, when do you think it's going to happen? And they say, oh, like whatever. And when I tell them, would you like to be protected from that, what you experienced then, right now? Because it's very highly likely that you're going to experience it again. And because of that, it kind of makes sense from them. But as I said, that's just one way. When somebody is in front of me, I don't think about, oh, what is the proper way for me to explain Bitcoin. I think about, what do I have to do so they buy at least some? That's the first point. And I'll do whatever is necessary. And I will not stop for the people that I care about. Right now that the relatives are done, I expand my circle to friends. And then I expand it through Breeze and everything that I could do in my life. So every single human being, uh, yeah, does it.
Do you have a list
A list of
of people that you need to, like the status started to orange pill, is already orange pill, like, because you say your family is done, so you have to have a list where you see like all the family members and whatnot.
Uh, I have a list of some people. Yeah, uh, but for me, it's easy. The people that I really care about until I'm done, I don't stop. And when I do that, then I focus on the other person or the other person. And I just start with the people that are close to me because when shit hits the fan, you need to really trust the people around you. And who would you trust more than relatives and close friends? Uh, no, that was my approach. And also, I would like to be there for them. Also, it's not like, oh, like they'll help me. It's a reciprocal relationship. But even now, thanks to the Orange Pill app, plugging them a little bit, I managed to find a completely unrelated person that is a Bitcoiner, and we're starting a meetup community in Bulgaria. We're meeting for a third time and expanding slowly, but surely we'll make a the idea there is we meet in a venue and we orange peel even that venue to accept Bitcoin. So when we do that, then we'll add another venue and another venue. So as I said, any single point, like this is my life's mission.
The conviction is really strong with you, Ivan. I have to say.
Yes, it is.
I,
Yes, it is. Like, I would say this to anybody that is listening right now. If your mother was killed because of money, what would your relationship be with money? And what would you do when you find out that that was preventable? That is Bitcoin. So that is why it's extremely deep for me. And I don't want other people to experience that. And I know that many, many, many people that are in the poorest country have much worse stories than mine. And when they get orange pilled, I would like to them to be also on a podcast because I would love to hear somebody from Sri Lanka that is a Bitcoiner and to say I experienced this, and this. First of all, because we would be prepared for that type of scenario to have a proper response, but also you would give them um, a voice bigger than their community, because right now probably in their community they think, oh, they're crazy. But if they're on a podcast and you give them a stamp of approval from our whole community, then people might listen to them more and more. And also, this is kind of the charity that we would also be doing, because if the Sri Lanka was onboarded on the Bitcoin standard, we would help them much more directly and much more effectively from the people that are in Bitcoin the longest.
It's something that I do think a lot about, because if you take Bitcoin seriously as a global phenomenon, then you will have so many different stories from all around the world. Or you already have so many different stories from all around the world. If
Yeah.
anybody in Sri Lanka is listening, or in India, or in Bangladesh, or we do have like subscribers in India and Pakistan and other countries, right?
Yeah.
Even Saudi Arabia. Hi, Gea.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that it's a global phenomenon, and it's very important, I think, to add this, and this is what I'm also trying to do, and that's why I'm glad to talk to Bulgaria today. I'm trying to do this. I've been talking to Nigeria and Lebanon, and I'm trying to, connect Bitcoiners from all around the world, and of course, English is the way to do it. And I see what's happening in the German-speaking world and in Europe, especially. But I also see that there is language is a big barrier. When I went to
Yes.
Bulgaria, I realized quickly that in Bulgaria, most people will not consume the English stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's why Plamen is so important with his YouTube channel. That's why it's so big. I mean, because Bulgaria is rather small. But how do you? Um, I mean, you must have lots of Bitcoiners in your friends now. What do they consume, and what was your story? Because you said in 2020 you listened to lots of stuff and you read lots of stuff. So is that like the American stuff, right? Or what do I expect
Uh,
here?
yeah. I started with impact theory. He invited guests from Bitcoin because he was interested in NFTs. But from there, I started following podcasts from the people that were there, and very quickly it became Seyfedin Moose, Robert Breedlove, Sailor's appearances, Jeff Booth, Jason Lowry, Pomp in the beginning. Now, not so much. I found you a little bit later, but I started extremely fast accumulating knowledge because I had to catch up. But even now, I try to keep up with all the stuff that are coming out with Bitcoin. I'm a year and a half deep into learning, and I haven't scratched the surface at all. Like nobody will. Money is touching everything, so you will never find the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Yeah. How about the political situation in Bulgaria right now? Is Bitcoin at all part of the political conversation?
Uh, I'm not the right person to ask. I have no idea. I don't have a TV. I don't follow news now for more than 15 years. And I just find out. I even found out that the COVID situation a day later. Like that. That's how much I'm disconnected from the corporate news and anything else. But
I don't even
I
know,
don't think there is.
Ivan.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. Did you know that the Queen is dead?
Yeah, that thing I found out. Like when I see memes and stuff like that, I still get the most important news, which are kind of the global news, and I've know the news from people that
Okay.
are going to be locally involved in Bulgaria. But really, I I follow the stuff that I'm interested in. I don't listen to propaganda.
I mean, that's probably the best way to go about it. And I mean, I'm a journalist, and I try not to be too involved into what the media is saying, because it really just it fucks with your head, right? But as a Bitcoiner, especially one in a rather small country, so Austria is not a lot bigger than Bulgaria, right? Like 2 million bigger, 3 million bigger, maybe. Yes. So
Yeah.
in Austria, it's rather easy to get to know like people who might be in the government, or might be in some position of power, and so you can have personal conversations about
Mhm.
this. Sometimes I even get invited to these places because they know me from YouTube, so to just call me up and say let's talk about Bitcoin, and I never say no. So do you? because isn't it important to have some touch on what's happening politically in your country with regards to Bitcoin?
I do think it is very important, but it's just not about my competency and not what I personally want to focus. I would support and help out anybody else that would like to have that, but you can't be everywhere all the time. So that is why. But I focus on the things where I'm most effective, and that is why. um, Starting a meetup where we are face to face. These are kind of my strengths, and I will focus on my strengths and expand wherever the path takes me. But about the political, obviously, if there is direct news about Bitcoin, but I don't think it's even on the radar of the political situation here.
Do you know anything about Bitcoin mining in Bulgaria?
Uh, Actually, no. No. Yeah, I'm just I figured out how mining works, but I just recently started to really connect to Bitcoiners in Bulgaria and trying to have a regular meetup.
Okay.
But in Bulgaria, we are too little. Like real Bitcoiners, we are still a lot of shitcoiners.
Do you know why this is? Why there? I mean, is it because people like to gamble? Is it because people are greedy? Is it because they get bad information? Why is it that shitcoining is still so popular?
I do think uh, from the conference that we were both in, I do think that people on average they don't want to learn, and they hear bits and pieces here and there. And when the marketing team of all the crypto stuff are like pushing, then they're just confused. And even in the conference, people had no idea about who Robert Breedlove is or Seyfedin or like the most prominent names in the space. And I think it's about laziness on their part, because you need to learn at least 100 hours to figure out, okay, what I need to listen to even. But on the other side, it's just there's a very, very big incentive for all the non-Bitcoiners that are creating all this 30,000 crypto shit token or whatever to go and promote this so they can fill their pockets. Another thing is also uh, I still went into another crypto chain just to confirm it for myself. And I went for 3 months to figure out how the whole system works. Is there a particular project that is nice? And I managed to find one project out of, let's say, probably 500-ish project that I researched. And just because they were a nice project, I sent them Jeff Booster because they're a technology company to realize at least this. They didn't watch it. Like the developers in crypto, like they have no incentive to learn. They think, oh, this is a game. This gives us a new opportunity or whatever. Let's go build that. And they'll be very rude awaked when the whole blockchain collapses underneath them and their project is on top of that. Like even if you have good projects on, let's say that blockchain, they have like probably 5,000 projects or something gaming project, all of them will collapse, just like the fiat system. When the central bank collapses, like it doesn't matter what you have in the bank.
Do you think that? I mean, is that what you think? Is that what we're going to see in the West, in our financial system? Is it gonna be like a real collapse, like we saw it in the ex-Soviet countries?
I think that if people don't move to Bitcoin quick enough, it will be actually any way the fiat system will collapse eventually. We just don't know when, and it's just the weakest country or the countries with most corruption, like in Sri Lanka or whatever, and they're going to collapse first. The whole thing is that when I play it out in my mind, when they collapse, now the countries that were giving them loans, they are not, how do I say, they don't suck out their resources directly. But let's say one country collapses and this country is giving them a loan. If this country collapses and gets pegged to the dollar, now they don't steal directly, and they continue to steal from themselves. So the more countries collapse that are small and get pegged to the dollar or to the euro, that accelerates the euro collapse. That accelerates the currency that they are pegged to. But obviously, the dollar will collapse last. We have no idea when, but uh, how would it go if one of the euro countries collapses? Like, it's a domino effect for the whole European Union. Like, even if they save it, it's going to be bad for everybody that is pegged to the euro. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
think Mark Moss says the big countries like Portugal or Greece or Italy, if one of them goes, it's going to be bad reflected in my country also.
I agree in general. I think that Americans are very much generalizing when they look at what's happening in Europe, and they fail to see the finer points. I'm not saying that we're doing anything well. It's clear that there's lots of problems, but very practically, even if the euro collapses, we did keep the bureaucracies of all the national central banks anyway, so we can just print national fiat. And at least in a country like Germany and in Austria, people will trust this national fiat. They will not just run into Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is a global solution, obviously, and I agree that it's going to be. What I think is so interesting about your story, and what is so interesting about talking to Bitcoiners outside of the West, is that you will find real use cases and real life arguments. While in the West, it's more like, oh, look, it's absolute scarcity. How about you invest your money now and get with? I mean, of course, it's all true. It's all true. Yes, but it's harder for people to get. And you sound like a crazy person when you try to talk to people. While when you tell them, look, you can protect yourself from hyperinflation, you can get the money out, the government cannot take it away, you cannot be censored. And you see these dangers. It's a lot easier to understand, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of the human condition. It's not just about this topic, but in sales in general, there's kind of a thing. If people don't perceive that they have a problem, they will not look for a solution. So that is why it's extremely important to put them in a stressful situation, even mentally, so they perceive that they really have a problem and then offer the solution. If, like, I know that Warren Buffett will never get it. He doesn't have a problem, whatever it happens. Like, yeah. But Kanye West, in an instant, he got it. Like, he experienced it, even though he is in a first world country.
Yeah, well, he's in America. Nah, I'm
Still,
joking. I'm joking. I'm
but
joking. I'm joking.
I don't think like he woke up on the next day not having access to his money and said, "Oh, shit happens. Like, let's go do that. It's painful, and the whole thing is that it's kind of like a virus that's in you, that it's sucking the life out of you, even if you like it or not. And there becomes a critical point where you just die. Like, doesn't have fiat system. But the whole thing is that the money is connected to reality. What I mentioned before. If it was like, let's say in one game, as Subway Surfers or whatever, you have a currency in the
Mm-hmm.
game, but it's completely disconnected from reality. I don't care if I lose the tokens there. Mm, yeah, but if you connect it to real money, the real money is connected to real proof of work, and like it affects real energy,
I,
and humans are energy.
I agree 100%. I think, and this includes me, proof of work is something that um, we haven't even touched. Like as a society, we have literally not touched like the surface. Maybe we have looked into it a little bit more, but it's not. It's so powerful, and of course our first reaction is to dismiss it and say, oh no, it's um, um, you're burning the planet and wasting energy and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, it's the idea that proof of work is the basis for a new monetary system that will impose itself regardless of what anybody does.
Yes.
Regardless of what anybody does globally, and then there's no way to stop it, because even if you try stopping it in one part of the world, it will still be developing in the other part of the world. And now that any chance of anything, of any global cooperation, has gone out of the window with the conflict between the East and the West that we have now. It's just going to ensure that Bitcoin can grow and grow and take its place in the world. That's how I see it. By the way, you can see this. I am actually mining Bitcoin in the corner here. So I'm
Nice.
heating. There's an Austrian company. They're called 21 Energy. I'll put the link in the show notes with a referral code as well. They produce Bitcoin heaters with they would there's two S9 miners in there, but they are downclocked, so to say, underclocked, in order to not be too loud, but it does produce heat, and it's not loud at all. It's running right now, and we're connecting, and we're doing a podcast, so it's not loud at all, and it's great, and it gives me a very good feeling to be mining Bitcoin in my office.
Yeah. And even if you don't get any money from that, you contribute two things that people kind of disregard the proof of work. The first thing is you're giving yourself heat. Like, that's the primary reason for yourself. But the second thing is you're contributing to the whole security of the whole network. It doesn't matter if it's very small, but like we say, oh, like Bitcoin uses lots of energy. What happens if every single heater becomes a miner? Like, I
Exactly.
don't know what the hash rate will come up to, but uh, and people wouldn't care too much about the money. They have two additional reasons to do it that are very important.
Ivan, it's great talking to you. Thank you for taking the time. Maybe to sum it up, can you give us some idea of what your plans are and what we can expect from Breeze in the coming months?
Uh, yes. For me personally, as I said, I'm growing this community here with Meetup, and we'll see how that thing goes. But I don't plan to stop until it becomes we outgrow the venue that we are meeting. But for Breeze, there are a few big things, and Roy wrote Medium articles about it. But it's the Breeze SDK. So every single app that's on your phone with a minimal development can now become a Bitcoin Lightning company. So you don't have to know about the Lightning Network to join. You don't have to know about the Lightning Network to optimize and manage all the capacity and channels and things like that as a developer. You just get that SDK and you plug it in. And not only that, but it's going to reduce so much friction around every single point, because people will also have their own nodes. Just like the Breez app, that in it there are three different interfaces. There's a wallet, there's a point of sale, and there is a podcast player. That's just one way to interact with the Lightning Network. Now imagine every single use case that is out there that is sending money from value from one party to another party can be plugged in extremely easy to the Lightning Network. And just like I said, let's say an app that's on the phone. Uh, um, let's say we have an app for, yeah, Nostr is kind of becoming big, but let's say even email or any other social media. Let's say, what do I have? Yeah, let's say Duolingo, the way that you're learning languages. Now, with a click, you can send money from any point of the globe to Duolingo to pay for their services because they are providing utility to their users. You're learning a language. But not only that, because the SDK is non-custodial, now it's a true peer-to-peer. It's not like a custodial solution when we say, I send you a Bitcoin. If you use a custodial solution, there is not a bank or a government between us, but there is that custodial service between us. If it is non-custodial, now I send you through, let's say we are connected in Duolingo. We are using it both. You're learning, let's say, Japanese, I learn Spanish. And in the app, I pay to the Duolingo developers my fee in Satoshis, but also because we're connected in the app, I can send you some Satoshis because we're making a internal competition, or you're sending me some badges, or we interact in there. And I don't have to leave the app in order to have that circular economy in it. That's what the SDK is giving to every app out there. And I'm extremely grateful for all the team that they decided that I can contribute to the team, but they're extremely big visionaries. Like their vision, how the Lightning Network should be, the analogy with the ISP, they're LSP. So in the past, we have, even now, we have an internet service provider and you have a browser to access the internet. So you don't have to worry about all the traffic, the IP address, all that is taken care of somebody for you. And you just have a browser that you prefer to access the internet. The same way is the vision of Breez for the Lightning Network. You have somebody that's doing all the liquidity in behind the scenes, all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, and you just interact in that network and you send your money that's in your possession to somebody else without any intermediaries.
That is pretty powerful, man. That is powerful. I mean, that's something we have to dive into, and I have to look into this as well. I've been using Breez, or looking at Breez from the podcaster's perspective, of course. But I do. Especially my colleague Yael, he's even more into value for value. I do realize that there's much going on. So we'll have to you have to keep us up to date. We have to do this again. Ivan, maybe at the end, can you give us so your links? Where can we find you on Twitter? Are you on Nostr? Is there a website, a YouTube channel, an OnlyFans?
I engage really on Nostr mainly these days, but for the transition, I'm using Twitter. So my Handle in Twitter is Naku2000, Nackoo 2000. And the same is in Noster, Naku2000 at nosterclubs.com. So if anybody wants to connect. But yeah, the future is bright and let's Orange build the world.
Ivan, thank you very much. All the best to you and to the Bitcoiners in Bulgaria. I hope the meetup goes well and we'll talk again.
Yes, thank you for having me.